Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to break down how you can prepare for one of nature's most serious threats. And honestly, it's one we often underestimate. We're talking about extreme heat. So let's build your personal safety plan right here, right now.
All right, let's just jump right in. Now, this might actually shock you, but extreme heat, it's the #1 weather-related killer. We're not talking about hurricanes or tornadoes or floods. Nope, heat is responsible for more deaths every single year than all of those combined. It's a silent killer, and that's why we're talking about it.
So, what are we really talking about when we say extreme heat? It's not just about the temperature hitting a big number. The real kicker here is the humidity. High humidity is a huge factor because it basically stops your body's built-in air conditioning, your sweat, from working properly. If sweat can't evaporate, you can't cool down. It's that simple and that dangerous.
Now get this, where you live really matters. If you're in a city, the threat is even greater. All that asphalt, all that concrete, it literally soaks up heat all day long. And at night, it just radiates it all back out. They're called urban heat islands for a reason. So cities stay way hotter for way longer than the surrounding countryside. That makes this a super urgent issue for anyone living in an urban area.
Okay, so here's how we're going to tackle this. We'll start with prepping your home and your emergency kit. Then we'll talk about your family plan. After that, what to actually do during a heat wave. And finally, we'll get to the most important part, knowing the danger signs.
All right, let's get into our first action area, preparing your home and your kit. Seriously, the most important work you can do happens before the heat arrives. Think of it as building your own personal fortress against the heat.
You can seriously beef up your home's defenses with just a few simple steps. First up, get that AC unit serviced every single spring. You don't want to find out it's broken on the hottest day of the year. Next, make sure your ductwork is insulated. Add some weather stripping around doors and windows. That stuff works both ways. Keeps the heat out just like it keeps the cold out. And here's a fantastic low-cost trick. Make your own window reflectors. Just grab some cardboard, wrap it in aluminum foil, and boom, you can bounce that intense sunlight right back outside.
Okay, let's talk supplies. And when we do, there's one thing that is your absolute #1 priority: water. You've got to have your own supply because you just can't count on the power or the taps working in a real emergency.
So, how much water? The rule of thumb is super simple to remember. 1 gallon. That's 1 gallon per person per day. And don't just plan for a couple of days. Try to have at least a 3-week supply at home. That way, you know you're covered for a more serious, extended situation.
All right, you've got your water sorted. What else goes in the kit? Well, think about things that give you portable cooling. Handheld fans with plenty of extra batteries. You'll want non-perishable foods, and, this is important, stuff you don't have to cook. The last thing you want to do is turn on the stove and add more heat to the house. And then the obvious stuff: lightweight clothing, wide-brimmed hats, and plenty of sunblock.
Okay, so your house is ready, your kit is packed. What's next? Your family plan. Because when things get serious, communication is everything. It's your lifeline, for real.
So what goes into a good plan? Well, a few key things. First, how are you going to get information? Make sure you're signed up for local emergency alerts. Second, where will you go if your house gets too hot? You need to know where the closest cooling centers are. Third, and this is so important, who are you going to check on? Make a plan to look after neighbors, relatives, and of course, your pets. And finally, have that backup power source if you can, and keep a smaller go kit right by the door just in case.
This is a big one. Let's say the power goes out and your home starts to feel like an oven. Do you know right now where you would go to cool down? You have to have an answer to this before it happens.
So here's how you find those places. A lot of communities will open official public cooling centers. The easiest way to find them is to just call 211 or check with your local health department. But hey, don't forget the simple options. Any public place with AC can be a lifesaver. Think libraries, community centers, even the local shopping mall can give you a much-needed break from the heat. All right, moving on. The heat wave is here. You've done your prep, so now it's all about managing the situation day to day. Here's how to ride it out.
This stuff sounds simple, but it is absolutely vital. You have to drink water all the time. Don't even wait until you feel thirsty. By then, you're already getting dehydrated. And stay away from sugary drinks and caffeine. They just make things worse. Oh, and one more thing. Eat small, light meals. Your body actually produces heat when it digests a big, heavy meal, so keep it light.
Okay, but here's the scenario we all dread. What happens if the power goes out? That's when a tough situation can turn into a real, life-threatening emergency.
No AC means you've got to switch up your game plan fast.
First things first, heat rises, so get down low. Stay on the lowest floor of your house. A basement is perfect if you have one. Keep all the windows that face the sun completely covered up. But then, at night, when the temperature finally drops a bit, open everything up to let the cooler air in. Use your battery-powered fans and try this old-school trick. It really works. Hang a damp sheet in a doorway. The breeze blowing through it creates a natural cooling effect.
Okay, we've arrived at our final section. And honestly, if you remember nothing else, remember this. We're talking about the danger signs. Knowing how to spot a medical emergency, in yourself or in someone else, can literally be the difference between life and death.
You absolutely have to know the difference between heat exhaustion and heat stroke. They are not the same thing. Heat stroke is a full-blown medical emergency. Now, look at this chart. See the biggest difference? It's the skin. With heat exhaustion, you're sweating a ton. But with heat stroke, the sweating stops. The skin becomes red, hot, and completely dry. That is the red alert. It means the body's cooling system has just shut down.
So what do you do if you spot the signs of heat exhaustion? That's the heavy sweating, maybe some dizziness or nausea. Your job is to cool them down right away. Get them into a cooler spot, loosen up any tight clothing, and have them take small sips of water. A sports drink can also help replace those salts they've sweated out.
But heat stroke is a completely different story. Let me be crystal clear. This is a 911 emergency. Call for an ambulance immediately. Don't wait. While you're waiting for help to arrive, do everything you can to cool them down. Use cold, wet cloths, fan them, whatever you've got. But, and this is critical, do not give them anything to drink. They could be confused or unconscious and could easily choke.
At the end of the day, all of this starts with dehydration. That's the root of the problem. So you've got to watch for those early signs. You know, things like a headache or muscle cramps. But there's one really weird one to look out for. The chills. I know, it sounds crazy, right? Getting chills when you're boiling hot? But that's a major red flag that your body's internal thermostat is going haywire.
So let's wrap this all up. It really comes down to this: preparation. That's what makes the difference between a terrifying, dangerous situation and one that you can actually manage. Getting your home ready, putting that kit together, making a plan with your family. When you do that stuff now, you're taking control. You're giving yourself the power to get through it safely.
And that brings us to the final thought I want to leave you with. Look, the absolute best time to prepare for something like this was yesterday. But you know what the next best time is? Right now, today. So think about it. What's the one thing, the very first step you're going to take today to get your family ready?